Bloodborne's Chalice Dungeons aren't exactly beloved by fans, but they do have a fresh host of bosses to offer on top of the base game roster. How do they hold up? Here's my thoughts. I thought nothing of this boss the first time I fought it, then I encountered him while making my way to the Pthumerian Queen, and I discovered just how awful he is. Bosses are supposed to have a distinct weakness that the player can capitalise on, or have all their moves give the player a good chance to counter. Pthumerian Descendant discards these principles completely. He does immense damage despite his speed, and follows up combos almost instantly. I hate this pathetic excuse for a boss, and don't even remotely regret naming it the worst of the Chalice Dungeon challenges. The Chalice Brainsucker is a contender for the easiest boss in the series. It's once again an instance of a basic enemy with a boss bar, but in this case it can't even comprehend putting up a fight. The boss is a case of R1 spamming until it dies in 4 hits. A miserable excuse for a boss fight. The Bloodletting Beast starts off our tier of mediocre bosses with an ankle chipping encounter against a vast enemy who fills the entire screen. His moveset isn't fun to engage with, and the damage you'll take in this fight is likely just due to not being able to see his attacks coming. I don't hate this fight, and did somewhat enjoy wiping the floor with this poor Chalice Dungeon pushover. I don't have much to say about the Silver Beast, since it feels more akin to a regular enemy than an actual boss. Probably even easier than the Brainsucker. The Merciless Watchers are another boss that entertain me with their big bouncy bellies, just like Aiden or the Godskin Noble. As far as FromSoft ganks go, they're pretty harmless. Their movesets gel together pretty well. Granted, they're nothing too special, and as such they land in the tier of the serviceable. This fight isn't good in any way. It's a reused enemy that I never loved in the first place, with a boss bar slapped on top. It only makes it this high because of the freaky backstab opportunity. Haha, funny fisting boss. Okay, next one. The Beast-Possessed Soul is an interesting fight. It really fits Bloodborne's aggressive playstyle, pitting the player against an enemy even more relentless than themselves. All his attacks are pretty fair, making the fight an entertaining clash between fast-paced foes. The Undead Giant sits alongside the Beast-Possessed Soul as one of the better Chalice Dungeon bosses, having an engaging moveset and size that makes it a little more challenging. Thankfully it's not so large that the fight involves purely chipping ankles, but rather feels like a genuine battle against an imposing opponent that's much more enjoyable than most FromSoft giants. We're getting towards the best of the Chalice Dungeon bosses, and the first of them is the Watchdog of the Old Lords. It's a fun encounter, with all its attacks being enjoyable to engage with, and providing a decent challenge, especially in the Defiled Chalice. The design is also incredibly distinct when compared to most Chalice bosses, which makes it one of the more memorable fights. The Pthumerian Elder is a really unique boss. He feels almost like a fiery Martyr Logarius with his flaming trick weapon. Easily my favourite part of the fight. It has such a great variety of weapon types, which means the fight is constantly changing and it keeps you adapting your playstyle accordingly. There's much more value here than with most of his Chalice counterparts.
You unkindled are all the same. You watch my videos every week, yet never once do you take your blades to that subscribe button. You are content to let me rot atop this mountain of unclicked buttons, to let me suffer for eternities to come until every boss has been ranked from worst to best. I did not wish for it to end this way. Why couldn't you have simply subscribed?
This is a pretty standard fast and agile enemy. Luckily for the Keeper, those are my favourite kind. He's a boss perfectly suited to Bloodborne's fast-paced aggressive combat, though I do wish he had more health since the fight is astoundingly short. While often I'm not too keen on beast-style fights, this is one of the better ones for me. He bears a fast-paced moveset and deals an incredible amount of damage, and his design is great as well. The encounter's only slightly held back since he appears in a much more intriguing scenario in the main game, though as far as this boss itself goes, it's a fairly solid battle, if only a little easy. I'm honestly pretty surprised to see a well-handled gank fight come out of Bloodborne's Chalice Dungeons. The Madman himself has a pretty diverse moveset that matches the fast pace of fights like the Keeper of the Old Lords. The Escort has a very similar moveset and is just as fast, but they have pretty weak poise, so even when the second enemy does appear in the later half of the fight, managing their aggression isn't particularly difficult. The speed of this fight makes it a slight step up in difficulty from the relatively easy bulk of the Chalice bosses, and it's a better fight for it. We've arrived at my favourite of the Chalice Dungeon bosses, and it's fitting that the final boss should take the top spot. Yharnam is easily the most mechanically unique of the lot, and adds some interesting lore to match. Her moveset's fun to interact with, and her ability to immobilise you adds an entirely new dynamic to the fight. She has a great design which differentiates her from many of her counterparts. All this and a fitting placement within the lore helps elevate Yharnam higher on the list than the rest of the Chalice challenges. There's my thoughts on the Chalice bosses, and with this video, my Bloodborne rankings are all wrapped up. Now, only one game remains in my series ranking every boss in Souls, the most recent edition, Elden Ring Night Reign. That video will be coming soon, but Silksong's just released, and you might see a boss ranking for that game pop up on your feed first, assuming you're subscribed. What's that? You're not? Well, you should be. I encourage you to leave your own opinions in the comments below, in a respectful manner as always. Thank you for watching, and I hope I'll see you next time.